So if I could have watched this video a year ago from today, I would have saved over $200,000. And no, that's not opportunity cost or any weird metric like that. It is literally cash that I paid out that I wouldn't have had to pay out and kept in net profit in my bank account because everyone is starting a coaching business. First, we saw the rise of the Imans, the Dan Lokes, the Tai Lopez's, and now everyone realizes, well, this is the best model in the world, so they're all trying to get their fair share of it. And doing that, all of them, except for you watching this video, are going to make the same mistakes that I made along this path, building out a team, corporatizing your company, which is only going to make your sales harder, your setting harder, your client delivery a nightmare, destroy your profit margins, and overall make your business a hell on earth to run. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the alternative method that I found to actually run your business in a way that you enjoy, have good client relationships where you can stack recurring cash instead of one-time payments, and do so while running at a 90+% profit margin, obviously before the money that you spend on ads if you're doing that, or if you're doing organic, the 90+% profit margins. So in doing that, how does it work? So the first thing that we have on my whiteboard over here is we have the old coaching model. So this was how I ran my company personally. We had myself, we had my business partner here, and below that, the way that we ran our operations is, first off, for service delivery, it was an absolute nightmare. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people that we had going on over here who were responsible for all of the clients that we had down here. And our clients, we did one-on-one consulting for, so this was roughly anywhere between 75 to 100 people. Then over here we had our setting and sales team, and the way that these two ran is we had about 2 appointment setters that we had on the go, and then here is again where the nightmare starts. We had 4 closers that were consistently on the go. So this was our sales. So we had the 2 setters over here, and then we have these 4 sales, and then this would take obviously all the calls, and then these guys would set all the calls that these guys end up taking. And I know, apologize for the writing, but to show you what the problem with this is these 75 to 100 clients, I kid you not, for the first 3 months of our business, not a single one renewed. And no, that is not because the service delivery was bad, etc., etc. It is because expectations differed from reality. We had people that got tremendous results. We got case studies. They absolutely smashed it with their marketing agencies, but they didn't want to renew. And we just kept running into this problem where we pretty much ran a sales agency. We would do our YouTube and our content and our ads. They'd go over to the setter would set the calls would close, and then we maybe have them for the first package, and then from that point on, they leave. And it was pretty demoralizing because myself, my business partner here, is sitting there thinking, well, we want to run this business for the next 5, 10 years of our lives. How are we going to do that if every single month we reset to 0 in revenue and it feels like our life is completely on edge? And this problem plagued us for a very long time until we found a new and different solution. And I'm not going to create like a crazy opportunity or any massive changes, but fundamentally, what I want to explain in this video is what coaching is actually about. Because if you're able to do your business in this way, I kid you not, you're going to get everything that I spoke about at the start, and you're not going to have to run on the around 40% margin that we did when we had a bad month on ads, and even if we had a good month, only 60% margin, which when you're making 100, 150K, 200K a month is a lot of money that you're paying out, especially month over month over month over month. So the new model. Well, first, before we go into what the new model is, I want to explain a little bit about why people are buying from you. So first, we're going to start, and this is going to be you, and we're going to go all the way to the first phase, which is going to be content. If we have a big funnel here, first phase right here is just going to be top of funnel, which is content. So this is ads, content. It's like why the people are landing in the funnel in the first place. This is directly connected to your brand. It's your face. You're sitting there talking. You're the person that's bringing in stuff. So what is the expectation that all these people have? Well, in Mr. Prospect's mind, the only thing that he's thinking about is you. He's the reason why you're the reason why he opts in. You're the reason why he goes onto the funnel, talks to the setter, talks to the salesperson. And this dives into the next issue. In the middle of funnel, right here, where we have them talk to a team, so they're on some form of calls. If they're not speaking with, once again, you, this is where we get the first strike. Strike number 1 is for destroying their expectations. They expected to speak with the person they saw on this phone that they thought was oh so great, presenting them this amazing offer. And the first strike is that they pick up from some random setter. If you're not monitoring the phones, is probably saying some stuff that just doesn't align with your brand or just isn't what you could do. If you were the person on the phone, you'd probably have an 80+% set rate. But you're sitting there putting up with mediocre numbers like a 10% set rate. And I kid you not, if you were to get on that phone, it would be 80+%. And you know that, especially if you're a skilled coaching business owner that's already making money. So that's that's the first strike. This is where your first wrong is. All right, so let's say the setter does a good job and we go to the closing call. So closing call, they say, all right, well, I spoke to John on the phone and he said, da 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 da. So to see if you're qualified for this program to achieve all the results that Mr. U is watching and that Mr. U has circled and created the environment for, I'm going to talk to Mr. Henry over here. And Henry's the closer. And Mr. Henry over here is going to do the exact same thing as the setter, just 10 times worse. And this is where your second strike is. Second strike, you've destroyed trust again with the prospect because during this whole process over here, again, they're still watching your content. They're still consuming your top of funnel. They're still reading your stories, your case studies. If they're looking at someone's Instagram to determine if they want to buy, it's all you. And right now, you are nowhere to be seen. So the second strike. Again, doing this, you'll probably know the difference between founder closing and you know the difference between closer closing. A closer closing KPI, everyone likes to say, yeah, we can get them to 30%, we can get them to even 40%, an absolute killer. We know that the average roughly will sit closer anywhere from like 15 to 20% on the close rate. And the reason I know that is because that is what our closers did. They sat at a 15 to 20% close rate on about a third of the total package cash collected, which is by no means bad. This is completely fine. But that's where the second strike is. They close, and here is where the third strike is. And I kid you not, if it goes this far, you are going to create terrible client expectations and you're fighting such an uphill battle that if you're doing service delivery with external people and people are still staying and still getting results, if you were to hop in there yourself, I kid you not, you would have not a single client churn. This is the third phase, which we go to, delivery. So we're working with clients, we're helping them out. And again, if they do not speak with you on this phase, when I say that, I don't mean one group coaching call a month or one group coaching call a week. I mean their direct reference point when they have a problem. If it isn't you, this is strike three. You've committed every sin of a coaching business, and as a result, you are destroying your margins and making the entire process way more exponentially difficult. Strike three, you are out. And from this point on, what you'll notice is you'll probably be running around panicking, similar to I was, where service delivery almost feels like a game of just like whacking moles. You've got all these clients and you've got your team meetings where you're speaking about, okay, is this client good? Is this client good? Is that client good? You're talking to your team members who go out and service them or directly interact with them. And you're kind of sitting from this high tower, hearing everyone want to speak with you, going through your own course content. But fundamentally, the person who they're speaking with on a day-to-day basis is just some random guy. And trust me, I'm not saying that it has to be like some absolutely crazy kind of combination for service delivery, and it doesn't need to be someone who is underqualified either. So if you have a VA, obviously you're going to get terrible results. But we had people who did 7 figures yearly with their business as our consultants. And even then, the trust was still absolutely shattered. And the reason why is because this whole time, even in the program, most likely the course content they're consuming is all you, and they're still watching your top of funnel content, interacting with your page, going maybe messaging you on Instagram. They all still care about you, but they've just been kind of crowded around by setters that aren't you, closers that aren't you, and then delivery that's not you. And the only time that they get to speak with you, if you're good or even like doing mediocre, is that one coaching call a week. And I bet on that one coaching call a week, it's flooded and everyone's kind of just like drowning in you trying to ask questions. And all the client problems from the week that had kind of accumulated up until that point all go away the second that call happens because they finally get what they wanted. And this was the problem that we ran into so much, because when you run the business like this, the first thing is that it destroys your margins. To create an operationally complex organization that can do all these functions for you while you kind of sit back is, funny enough, completely reverse of what actually happens. By building this, by building this huge accountability network that you have to be responsible for, you're actually making it way harder to do each of these processes because they're all hoping to just speak with you. It's kind of like your org chart. If I erase this super quickly, kind of like your org chart is going back on you. So a typical org chart, it's got arrows down of the line of command. But it's almost like if we have problems right here, the only thing that happens when you run your coaching business like this is the problems just circulate through your team members straight up to you. And it makes you this like frantic human being that's no fun to be around. And trust me, I know, because I was that person. I've been that person for years at a time, and it absolutely sucks. So by this point, you might be asking, okay, well, like, what's the alternative? And I promise you that there is a way to do this where you do not absolutely destroy your time, because that's probably what you're concerned about. The reason you built this whole team in the first place is because you don't want to sit there doing things that you feel like are below you because you want to grow and keep expanding and making more revenue. And I want to show you exactly how to do that with this model. So the first things first is I need to explain what proximity is. So by definition, the word is pretty much just how close one thing is to another thing. And by selling a coaching business where you are producing content, the biggest thing that you need to focus on is just the proximity of your clients to you. So if we've got, again, you in the middle, kind of the big man over here, what you sell is these shell layers of proximity and how close they actually are to you. And based on how close they are, this might be triple money. This is the big stuff. This might be double money. And then outside of this is kind of just like the free stuff that you sell online. And if they want to get really close and like work directly one-on-one with you, this is where there's the big money and you charge ridiculous amounts. And this is fundamentally how you want to run the business. You have different charges based on the proximity that they get to you. Because fundamentally, if you're producing content and you're selling it in a way where you are the main attraction, you need to realize that that's all people care about. They don't really care about your team or even the results and offer to a certain extent. It's more so that they just believe in you and what you have to offer. So the way that we can do this without destroying our time is fundamentally, we're just going to need to do a little bit of careful planning. And I know this is going to seem super simple, but if you can do this, you can probably fire your whole team, save, I don't even know, if you were like us, hundreds of thousands every few months or so in money, and just keep that in profit. So first things first is we've got the setting process. So the setting process is the one that I know a lot of people are going to get tripped up about, because from a by nature perspective, and I say this as someone who ran an appointment setting agency, I know that in order to set, you have to be volume and it has to be quick. You have to be calling people in under 5 minutes. And I want to tell you right now, what you want to do with your setting process, again, as someone who loves appointment setting, is put a line through it. You want to put a line through the setting process and you want to take a completely different approach. What this is going to be a big community. So instead of trying to directly convert everyone by just like maniacally calling them on the phone, if you're below 100K a month, all that you really need to do is just focus on getting more traffic into your funnel. You don't need to go like crazy on the phones, et cetera, et cetera. So the way that we do that is by, instead of trying to direct them to this crazy call sequence, we just funnel all of our traffic into a community. And a community can be seen in a few different ways. It can be like a Telegram. Sorry, you can't read this writing. It can be a Telegram. It can be a school. It can be an email list. It can be IG stories. And if you're good, you're going to do 2 of these. So the ones that I typically like to pair are like IG stories and school, or like a list and a school. Those are the 2 that I probably primarily do. And what this is going to do is it's going to create a way that replicates what the setting process would do, but it lets people buy on their own time, and it does it in a way where you're still leveraged in a one-to-many way. So you're going to direct the traffic here, instead of trying to maniacally set everyone and like convince them when they're still kind of on the fence. What you want to do is you just want to have people join your community. And if you do something like school, you can have an auto DM feature that creates conversations once they're already in the school, and you can run community calls, free community calls, and speak with these people in a one-to-many format so that you're not burning all your time just trying to set appointments. And that alone is going to dial in your setting process in a way where you're not trying to convert leads that are crappy, because you know that every person that opts into your funnel did so on their own volition, probably over a period of time, which makes them a lot more qualified and a lot easier to sell. Which takes us to the second point, which is the sales process. So we got our sales process. We have these people converting in organically. Okay, they're booking appointments. So now how do I do this without making my life a maniacal sales disaster? The first alternative, which you've probably seen a lot of guys do, is the no sales call. Now, I personally don't think this is the way to start. If you are someone who is still trying to get off the ground and you don't have like a crazy audience built up, doing a no sales call is going to do nothing but increase your time horizon. It's not going to lose you sales. You're just going to have to make the time that you give it a lot longer. So if you want to make money this month and the month after that and the month after that, don't do this yet. You will need to build up a little bit more content stream. What you want to do instead is what I like to call a very high friction sales funnel. So if we create another funnel and we have appointment here, we want to narrow this funnel out big time like this in order for someone to be a client. So what I mean by that is we've got a few factors. We've got like the form that they go into, then we've also got the pre-nurture, and then we have the call structures. So got these three factors. First things first, you don't want to do a Beatty form. Just don't do a Beatty form. A lot of the time people have forms with questions like, okay, theoretically, if we had to spend $5,000, would that be okay with you? And questions like that on your forum here are only going to mislead people. You don't really need to do that. Because you're building up people through a community and they are getting value for free from you, you don't need to fluff around like it's a free consultation or anything like that. The frame going into the call and how they book appointments can literally be, see if you are qualified to work with me. And because of that, on the forum, you can ask questions like, okay, do you have X amount on hand to invest if it is the right fit? And by doing that, in a sense, you're already pre-qualifying people. And I know that if you are a half-brained individual, if someone says they've got $3,000 or $5,000, $10,000 that they want to spend with you, and they say they're ready to do that, you yourself probably want to take the call because it's like, all right, we'll just catch the handoff. So the first things first is a very high friction form. This will do you wonders, and when you see submissions come in a form that actually qualifies someone to work with you directly, you're going to want to take the calls because it's like, holy fuck, this is an interested customer. I just want to meet them and push them over the line because they seem like they already know what they're doing. From that point on, once you see that appointment come in, you can do the pre-nurture. So on your form or after they book in, you can say something along the lines of, hey, I'm going to call you, I'm going to text you. And a very big indicator if I want to work with someone is how they communicate. So if you can please answer the phone, or if you can't make the phone, please respond to my text. It's going to be really important because I want to know a few more things about you, your funnel, how you run your business before the call, or else it's going to be a complete waste of time. And you can change that based on whatever your niche is. So then in the pre-nurture, you can pretty much say, hey, if you don't pick up the phone, if you don't answer, we're not taking this call. And if they booked in with this high intent form where they really want to buy from you, they're going to also do this. And if not, you just cancel the call and you don't waste your time. Then from the third point, and actually before I go into the third point, I want to talk about kind of the dynamics around this. So if you have these two things set up and you're doing anything under 200K a month, which we just managed to get over, the biggest thing that you're going to see is you're going to get maybe 1 to 3 appointments every day that are extremely qualified. And when it comes to day structuring, you put these in the afternoon after you've done work for the day and you qualify them. And it's like a dream to take these calls. Because again, with high intent and someone you already called and spoke with over the phone that's like, yeah, I want to buy from you. This is sick. Let's speak. Boom. Amazing. These appointments are now fun to take instead of this like arduous kind of like tit for tat, cat and mouse sales process that you're usually used to, where people are misled, they don't know it's a sales call, they're not qualified, all this stuff. It's just a joy to take because you're actually just speaking with them, seeing if you can help them. Then from the third part, call structure, super simple. You want to hop on, and if you're doing really good, you can do like a 30-minute with a 15-minute buffer, so 45 minutes that you can take up total just to hop on, see if it's a good fit, cash collect. A lot of the time that's what it's going to be if you have these high intent forms. And if not, what you can do is you can just call it short if it's not a qualified lead immediately, and then from that point you are good to go. And if you can make this transition, what is going to happen? I'll tell you this. What's going to happen at first is it is going to be a little bit quiet if you just immediately make these changes, because everyone in your customer market is going to be like, oh, I'm used to speaking with salespeople, da 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 da. So you're going to want to change up your entire funnel to making sure that they know they're going to be speaking with you directly, because that's going to hugely impact the way that people perceive the call and the value that they associate with it. So from that point on, what you want to do, and just a little tidbit that you can use to kick it off, is as soon as you make that change, you just wanted to run a database reactivation campaign. Pretty much throw up on IG stories or whatever your email list is. Hey, I'm literally talking with people one-on-one to see if they're qualified. Just fill out this form and I'd be happy to speak with you. And if you have that high intent form, you're gonna get a whole bunch of people that influx in. You can probably make a crap ton of money as soon as you immediately change this. The next thing that I'll go into is the service delivery, because you are smart enough to figure out the rest of the sales stuff. Service delivery over here. So now we actually have the service delivery, and this is where, if the setting process freaks you out, you're like losing your mind over the idea of servicing clients alone without a customer support rep. And I mean, fair. If we go back to this proximity model here, if you look at the scale that you're having, it's going to be a pretty daunting thing until you understand how to actually operate and run this model effectively. So here are the spheres of our sales. So the first thing is we've got one-to-one, which is direct proximity, like, hey, this is me, you. Then we have group. So this is the second layer where they're speaking with you in a group, some way, shape, or form, with like a course in order to kind of help them go on their journey or a program. And then the final one is going to be purely info product. So this is kind of the three layers that you want to operate. And I don't even suggest having this third layer of info. I would just make this the free stuff if you are not already over 100K a month, because with these two alone, you can easily do it. So first thing I'll solve is how to work with people one-on-one. Well, first things first, it's a joy to work with people one-on-one who actually want to speak with you. And I'm not saying that this is an excuse for having bad delivery, but when someone buys from you directly in order to speak with you based on your brand, they have what's called a bias. And we're thinking, okay, well, like, obviously they have biases, we all have biases, but what does that mean? So I mean that they have a bias towards you in an amazing way. No matter what you say, if someone goes through your entire funnel to buy from you, you've already done a lot of the work in proving your authority. So as a result, there's not much of a, oh, are you legit kind of, I need to hit this result or else you're a scam, a vibe, because you don't need to even have an offer. The offer is that it's literally just you one-on-one and your brand. So because of this, they have a bias where like everything you say, you're kind of a genius. And because you attracted them through organic content and through nurturing them, providing them value, they already resonate with what you say, and just getting it in a direct format one-to-one with you is already going to be the box ticked with service delivery. So with one-on-one, you literally don't need anything other than your own presence, and people are going to see you as like, holy, this guy's the man. And that's great, because you can even go above and beyond in order to actually provide them amazing results, make new things for them, customize things, etc. But I'll let you know that one-on-one, if they go through this entire funnel, they're just biased to like everything that you say. The next thing is going to be group, where we see the exact same thing happen. They're going to be biased once again to everything that you say and do, because it is why they bought the product in the first place. So in order to execute, first I want to start with the one-on-one. In order to execute the one-on-one, how you want to do it is you want to have 2 calls a month, and you want to have, oh my writing is terrible. I apologize for anyone who has got to look at this, but you got 2 calls a month, and in addition to that, you just give them like a 24/7 Slack channel that they operate. This is an amazing way to do it at scale. With 2 calls a month, you can stack all your calls onto probably 2 days a week and service an active amount of like 20 clients that you're working with one-on-one. If you want to be conservative and keep your time pretty dialed and have it be under like 5-10 hours a week for you, you can easily take on 10 clients, right? With 5 hours a week, you can have 10 clients whom you do this with. So that's going to be super amazing, right? That's going to be, actually you can do 20 clients with 2 calls a month. So the way to do this, and the way that it kind of works, is you're going to just want to jack the price up as more and more people fill up. So as soon as you fill up, obviously the want on your time is going to go up. So what that means is like, okay, you've got 20 clients now and you've got more people wanting to buy from you. You can simply say like, hey, I've got 3 guys that want to buy me for like 15K and you are currently paying 5K, and obviously you don't like give this as like an ultimatum to the clients, etc., etc. But as time goes on, you just increase your price, and naturally people drop off, naturally people stay, because you're working with them one-on-one again and they have this bias towards you. It's very easy to get recurring revenue as well based on this. So the next phase is going to be group. So the way you do group And the way that I'm a big fan of group is you can obviously give like a once a week call, but I think it's very important to actively service people in the group because the more you service them, the higher chance they have of leveling up under the one on one. So I found that the perfect number of group calls per week is going to be 2 every week. So 2 every week that you're hopping on with them and you're working with them. And then all you need to support this is a very good course. And that should be dialed in. And then obviously free stuff is going to be like your YouTube content, etc. So the way that you support this whole infrastructure is you set up a Slack channel with the one-on-one people, you create them a one-on-one Slack channel. With the group people, you have a big group community that you're constantly nurturing, constantly providing value to every single day. And then you just need to have a very dialed CSM, which is a customer success manager. This is someone you pay $1,000, $2,000 a month. What their job to do is to initiate and keep clients accountable, keep clients in a daily communication basis. And if you can do all these things, it's going to be super, super easy for you to run your entire service delivery operation. This, I would say, will take you about, if you're going overboard and trying to get everyone exceptional results and upsell, 10 hours a week. Your sales process, that's maybe an hour and a half a day. So if we extrapolate that over the week, maybe you got 5 hours a week on sales calls. You got about 5-10 hours a week on the actual service delivery that you're doing. And then from that point on, the other 20 hours a week that you usually spend running around trying to not cut your team's head off and yell at them and like going through these crazy management techniques and structures, you can just put all into content. So you have 20 hours a week, if you're only working 40 hours a week, just to purely go into content and scaling the company. And if you can do that every single day, it's going to explode, because as your capacity and as your authority goes up, you simply need to increase the price. And the way you scale is by increasing the price, not by actually increasing the way that you deliver and all this stuff. And I don't want to make this crazy long rant video, so I'll land the plane. But fundamentally, if you can do this and you're profiting anywhere from 100, 200, even up to 300K a month, if you're charging good prices and have people retain it, this is in monthly recurring revenue, not like I'm making this every month off packages money. You have the ability to literally invest and save up to a point where you retire in about a year. You can retire and never work again in about a year. And then from that point, you can pool all those things into other investments and other businesses to grow and help your empire and entrepreneurial network. But fundamentally, if you can make this much money in net profit, this is more than top level CEOs, and this is more than anyone trying to run a coaching business that they just scale to the moon. And I don't know about you, but if I was given the option of having a coaching business off my brand alone that I spend maybe 20 hours a week to maintain and 34 hours a week to grow exponentially as like a main focus, that can profit me anywhere and up to 300K a month, and I'm getting that month over month over month over month. I would rather that than have a business where I have to spend 40 hours a week constantly trying to work things, learn payroll and all this crap, and instead keep this business, live the life of my dreams, but then also, as I want to continue to expand as an entrepreneur and grow, just add on new ventures, add on new investments, add on new projects that you're working on, but fundamentally have your brand tied into just you, who's just servicing and making a crap ton of money and profit doing it. So that's the new era of coaching models, and I hope you enjoyed this video, because if I did this about a year ago, I would be absolutely stacking cash, and as you know now, I am doing it. So appreciate it and have a good one.